All right, so hello and welcome to Coffee with SamPaul. And on tonight's show, I'm very excited, I should say, to chat to Joe Hansen, the bassist for legendary Aussie rockers Grinspoon. How you going, Joe?
Yeah, good mate. Good, nice to be on here, and yeah, very very excited to have a chat.
Yeah, likewise, mate. It's a bit of a fan sort of moment for me. I've been a bit of a fan. I actually brought this out to kind of show you the old
Oh,
EP from back in the day.
yep.
So I've been a fan for a while. But yeah, so you've got a new single out, Unknown Pretenders, which is absolutely incredible. I have had it on repeat since I first heard it, and a new album, whatever, whatever,
Whatever, whatever. Yeah.
coming out on August 9th. Now, I do have to ask, the first thing that came to mind is, it's the first album in 12 years.
Hmm.
Why has it taken so long?
It's a very very good question, actually. I don't know. We didn't mean it to take so long, I guess, is the answer. It's just things got away from us. We had a break in 2013. We took a few years off, and then we sort of came back and did a few tours off the back of our older records and that kind of thing. And then we sort of started thinking round about 2019, 2020, like we should probably record a few, get some new material together. And we did. We went to Adelaide. We were in Adelaide and we went to a studio, recorded a few tunes. And we were thinking, okay, well, we got 4 or 5 songs here. We could probably out an EP or something. And then COVID hit. So then that was on hold. And in the meantime, we started getting a few other tracks together and we thought, well, let's just do a whole record. So then that took another couple of years to sort of get together and all that. And here we are now. So
That's
yeah, it was just, time flies.
Yeah, no, you're right. I find the older I get, the quicker time seems to kind of just vanish.
Exactly.
You blink
Yep.
and you miss it. Um, yeah, so COVID sort of hit right at the sort of start of where everything was coming together musically. I found that for me I'm a solo artist, and so I find that was actually a really good period for me because I couldn't really do much other than my day job, and then I'd come home and I could work on music. But obviously with a band, there's a bit more to it. Are you guys located close together, like when it comes to like recording, or are you in different cities? Or because I think Powderfinger put together something during the pandemic, but they had to do it remotely because they're all in different cities. Was that the sort of
Mm.
same case for you guys, or
Yeah. We all used to live obviously in the same town in Lismore. That's where we
yeah,
started
yeah,
together. And then we've all sort of branched out. So we're all kind of spread out over the East Coast now. So from sort of Port Macquarie up to Brisbane.
yep,
And yeah, so it's not just like a spur of the moment duck around to each other's house and have a sort of jam these
yeah,
days. It's a bit more has to be a bit more organized. But these days you can send your demos around via you know email or on the internet or share them or whatever.
yeah.
That's kind of the way we sort of get the music to each other these days, and then we all get together in a room eventually, and then nut it out. But yeah, it's definitely not so spur of the moment as what it used to be. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's still kind of works, just in a different way, really.
Yeah, right. That does actually lead me to another sort of thing that I was interested in with the technology, because obviously when you guys first started, the internet wasn't what it is these days. If it was it even around then? I can't. I, I think it.
Um,
I think it wasn't. I think no. I don't mean that disrespectfully. I mean, I grew
no,
up
no.
with no internet. Like I often joke to my son. When I was your age, we didn't even have internet, let alone Wi-Fi everywhere you go. But
Oh,
but
yeah,
I feel like the digital era, internet era, it's really changed the landscape for artists, for recording, for producing, and as you said, for file sharing when it comes to putting demos together.
yeah.
How do you think that sort of impacted you guys? Like, because I feel like you guys started out as a kind of band in the room jamming the songs out together,
Mm,
and as you mentioned just before, you're now kind of sending demos back and forth. And do you think that's
yeah.
affected the way you write much, or?
Oh, yeah. Like it's such a big difference from because we sort of started in the like, yeah, the internet was around, but it was, dial up, plug it into your home phone.
Yeah,
Like it was slow as it wasn't that useful at that time. And so we sort of started off analog recording on tape in studios, and the studio assistant, literally cutting the tape to do edits
yeah,
and all that kind of business. So we were just on the when that was sort of just on the way out, but we still got a bit of that. And
yeah,
then yeah, and we bought like so when we first started touring, there was no mobile phones, but someone was selling their mobile phone. It was one of the big Nokia bricks.
I
So we bought one of them, and
yeah,
we just thought we were unreal because we could call, as we're driving, we
yeah,
could call someone, tell them we're like half an hour away from the gig,
yeah,
sort of thing. So, you know, and it was the most unwieldy sort of like massive sort of, mobile phone. Um, so obviously things have changed a lot to today, and yeah, it's a completely different world. Whether it's better or not, who knows? But it just is what it is, and there's certain advantages to it. Like you can live in different suburbs or different cities or different places and file
yeah.
share, like you said, and whereas back in the day that would be very difficult. So yeah,
No doubt.
it's got its advantages and disadvantages, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I do have to say, when I first heard the new single, I felt like it felt like Grinspoon that I've known and loved. Like it maybe a little more polished. Maybe you got in better studios, better equipment, and so forth, and things like that. Obviously, more experience, but it felt like at the core was the Grinspoon that everyone knows and loves. I guess firstly, would you agree with that in your mind? And also, do you think the whole album kind of has that sentiment? If you do agree,
Yeah, that was like I'm glad you said that because that's exactly what we were kind of after was
yeah,
that feeling. Just sort of get back to the roots, get back to our sort of core original sound and sort of vibe, and then yeah, follow that through the album. So yeah, it's really fun. Like the album, I'm super excited to be honest. Like I'm more excited for this album than any like you love every album, of course, because you just
yeah,
done it. But this one I feel is a real fun album that's going to resonate with that kind of like old school feeling. It's pretty raucous. There's a fair bit of screaming from Phil on it. There's a fair bit of up tempo, high energy sort of stuff. So that's
yeah.
definitely what we're after for this one. Yeah.
Oh, that's good to hear because I was just chatting with your lovely people at the PR off on the map, and they've allowed me to come to your Elizabeth show when you come to Adelaide. So I'm
Oh,
expecting
sweet.
a lot of energy and a lot of excitement. Like we've come to know you guys for. Um, I
Yes,
I
you'll
did
get it.
also sorry.
I said you'll get it. You'll get
Oh,
it. Make sure you come and say hello. Come
yeah.
back and say hello.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I'd love to. I'd love to come and say good day and what's up to you guys. Yeah. So oh God, I lost my train. You did mention though when you first recorded a few of those demos in the early stages of the album that you were recording in Adelaide. Was that because you were in town touring or
Yeah, so we were doing the what is it? It's the car race, the
Adelaide
is it the
500?
Clipsal Adelaide 500?
Yeah, it's
Is
kind of
that what
got
it is?
gone through different names, but it was at one point called the Adelaide 500 or the Clipsal
Yeah.
500. Yeah.
So we were there for that, and then we stuck around afterwards, and yeah, went into the studio, just in the little studio called Ghost Note Studio in Adelaide in the city there.
Oh,
That
nice.
was awesome. We had
Yeah.
a really good time. We were just mucking around and ended up with a few songs. Um, yeah, and then it's funny. So yeah, the sort of start of the album was Adelaide, and then last year at the end of our last tour, we kind of ended up in Adelaide about 3 or 4 weeks in a row, um, for various reasons. But yeah, so we did the clip for Unknown Pretenders was shot in Adelaide at Crybaby
Oh, wow.
at at a free gig we did there. Yeah, so
Oh, very
it's
cool.
sort of like for some reason this album is an Adelaide sort of intrinsically have been linked,
Oh, mate.
which is quite strange for a band from Lismore, but we'll go with it.
Yeah. Hey, look,
No, I love Adelaide.
we'll gladly take that because us Adelaideans we love to kind of take ownership of cool stuff. So we'll take it.
Honestly, we had the best time. And I reckon, yeah, like I actually bit of a sidetrack here, but I took my wife over to Adelaide before a show we did there a couple of years ago, and she'd never been there, and she was like, "What the hell? What's like this place is great." Like, why doesn't everyone rave on about Adelaide? I'm like, I know it's cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, I've got a soft spot for Adelaide,
Oh, it's
especially
good.
now at this record, and yeah, so no,
Oh,
I love Adelaide.
good to hear, man. Good to hear. Because I'm an Adelaide boy. I actually grew up in Darwin, but when I moved back to Adelaide, I was like, I just instantly felt like I was where I was meant to be. There's something about
Yeah,
it.
right.
I think you either really love Adelaide or you really don't like it. It seems to be there seems to be like no in between.
Yeah,
So
right.
I'm
Well,
glad you.
we're on the Love Adelaide side of things, definitely.
Fantastic. I read in your press release that Phil mentioned the producer you work with. It kind of became like a very collaborative process with this album. Is that something that's always been the case with the producers you've worked with, or was this a little different, maybe?
Um, yeah, this is probably a little bit different because Oscar was like, um, I guess more of kind of like a peer rather than a producer coming from a great height.
Yeah,
Like we've worked with some producers in the States and stuff, which are great producers, but they're like sort of they're the producer, you're the band,
yeah,
um, and they kind of come in and throw their weight around a little bit.
yeah,
With Oscar's just a cool dude, that's a really talented musician as well, and a great songwriter. So he has his good set of ideas and coming from a very musical understanding of everything as well. So yeah, man, he was just very cruisy. We were literally in his home studio in his backyard in his little, we were hanging out in his lounge room and eating dinner together in his kitchen. So it
oh,
was just a
nice.
very relaxed, yeah, and like Phil said, a sort of collaborative thing. If he had some ideas, we'd try them. If they worked, they worked. They didn't, they didn't. And then he even played like I think a few times he was suggesting some guitar parts, and Pat just said, "Look, you you're playing the guitar part. You just play it."
Yeah.
So there's even a few sneaky little guitar parts that Oscar ended up playing on there because Pat was just like, "Well, you're playing them. You just play it. Just hit record."
Yeah, yeah,
So,
nice.
and maybe even some little backing vocals in there as well. So, yeah, he was a cool dude. It was very easy to work with.
Oh, that sounds really cool, man. I love that. I love the collaborative sort of aspect. I'm not a big fan of producers that kind of sit themselves above the band. Like at the end of the day, you guys are
Mm,
the ones making the music, and that they do their part. But it should all be a team effort, really, shouldn't it?
yeah, 100. Yeah, definitely, definitely.
I know you've got a few other chats to do, so I'll just finish off here. But you guys are kicking off a 49 date tour, I believe, in September for the album.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
And yeah, looks like it's going to be an absolute hoot. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Um, and I thank you so much, Joe, for taking the time to have a chat with me on Coffee with SamPaul.
No worries, Sam. It's been a pleasure, mate. And we'll see you at the
Northern Sound
in
System.
Adelaide. Cool, mate. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
All right, Joe. We'll see you then, and enjoy the rest of your night. And we'll
All
definitely
right,
see you on the tour.
we'll do. All right. See you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
See you later.
Bye.